On May 20, 2024, a notice of this meeting was transmitted to the Board of Education, and a copy of the notice was posted to the Education Center bulletin board. Copies were also transmitted to the Millburn Short Hills Item, the Star Ledger, the Millburn Short Hills Independent Press, Tap Into Millburn Short Hills, the Township Clerk, and members of the Township Committee, the presidents of the PTO and civic associations, and the Public Library. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular public meeting and the closed meeting minutes of January 27th, 2025? Ms. Shivani, Mr. Lawrence can second. Any comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? No. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the open forum on February 2nd, 2025? Mr. Farashudin, Ms. Longley Richards can second. Any comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? All good. All right, moving right along to presentations. Should I turn it over to you, Dr. Diskin?
Sure. I'd like to welcome Christy Young and Mr. Connolly from the C&I department, as well as we have Ms. Sack here from the middle school, the interim principal. So they're going to do a presentation on science and STEM pathways.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. This is our second installment in our Pathways presentations. This evening, we're going to be learning a little bit more about our science K-12 and our STEM K-12 pathways. So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Young, who's been working hard on this presentation, and then I'll jump back in and talk a little bit about robotics in a moment. So Ms. Young.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me this evening. So we're going to start off tonight talking about science, specifically the pathway at the high school. And so our work for this presentation is really looking at the existing student pathways in science, also looking at the achieved increase in the AP enrollment in science, the revisions to the student pathways, as well as the NJSLA scores. And this work aligns with District Goal 2, which is teaching, learning, and assessment, and District Goal 3, our comprehensive equity. The work has been really on expanding students' opportunities and access to courses, and this has been part of the district goal over the last few years. And so tonight I am excited to be able to share out with you that work and how it has impacted the opportunities for our students. So in New Jersey, high school students must complete 15 science credits, and this includes 5 credits in a laboratory biology or equivalent life science course, 5 credits in a laboratory or inquiry-based science course such as chemistry, environmental science, or physics, and 5 additional credits in a laboratory or inquiry-based science course. What you are looking at on the left-hand side of the slide is the pathway that we have for students in grades 9, 10, 11, and 12. At the high school, students take integrated earth science and chemistry as a 9th grader. This class provides the foundation for learning and for student success in biology, chemistry, and physics in grades 10, 11, and 12, respectively. By the end of 4 years in Millburn, students have the opportunity to engage in science courses that build a strong foundation that prepares them for college. Our science elective courses, which can be seen on the right, provide students with the opportunity to explore specialized areas of interest beyond that of the core curriculum. The electives align with state standards and a commitment to preparing students for post-secondary success by building critical thinking, problem solving, and inquiry skills. The elective science courses enhance students' ability to connect classroom learning to real-world applications and foster lifelong curiosity and innovation. Semester-long electives include oceanography, environmental science, forensic science, and anatomy and physiology. The electives are offered based on student interest and availability of certified staff. And so I encourage students, as they begin to meet with their counselors, to express interest in the classes that they would like to take in their later years at the high school. In grades 9, 10, 11, and 12, students have the opportunity to take the core classes at the accelerated CPA and CPB levels. When students get to grade 10, Millburn does something that is very different than most other high schools in the surrounding area and in the state of New Jersey. Our students can take their core science courses in the advanced placement level in grade 10 and in grade 11. And so that is offering students the opportunity to take courses that they would normally take their freshman year of college as a 10th grader and 11th grader in high school. So giving students the opportunity to take college classes while still in high school, which helps to demonstrate a certain level of rigor on their transcript. What really prepares students for the ability to take those AP classes in 10th and 11th grade is our integrated chemistry and earth science course that students take in the 9th grade. Recently, parents have been reaching out about the opportunity to take physics in 11th grade preceding chemistry. And this is something that students can do. If a student is interested in doing this, what they need to do is fill out a Google form, just simply to let us know that they are requesting to take this pathway. It is not the traditional pathway, and the state standards encourages students to take chemistry prior to physics because of the prerequisite skills that come in chemistry related to looking at the structure of the atom and intermolecular forces. But because of the 9th grade course, which is that integrated chemistry and earth science course, students can take physics prior to taking chemistry if they are interested. We also offer AP Physics C to students who wish to take that as an advanced placement course, and also AP Environmental Science. So the goal over the last few years has been to increase access to AP Science courses. And this slide shows the data from the 23-24 school year in comparison to the 24-25 school year, so the current school year that we are in. And looking at the first line, you can see that in 23-24, there were 55 students that were eligible to enroll in AP Biology, with 39 students taking the course. In the current school year, with the adjustment to the enrollment prerequisites, 110 students were eligible, with 75 students enrolling, a difference of 36 students, which is a 92% increase. In AP, the AP Chemistry enrollment has increased by 22 students, for a total increase of 49%. What was once accelerated physics is now being offered as AP Physics 1, and this is the first year that we are offering that opportunity to students, getting rid of the accelerated physics course itself, knowing that those students are capable of taking the AP Physics in high school. And we have 55 students enrolled in that class. 52 students enrolled in that class. And if you look at the overall increase in enrollment in AP classes, we have an increase of about 68% more students taking these courses. Knowing that the removal of the qualifiers, as well as modifying the prerequisite courses and grades that students need to take in order to take AP Biology and AP Chemistry in grade 10 and grade 11, what we are looking to do for the 25-26 school year is provide multiple entry points to higher level science courses. And so what that will do is offer students the opportunity who have already met the state requirements in biology and chemistry to take an AP Biology elective course. And this AP Biology elective course will only have the prerequisite of successful completion of high school biology and high school chemistry. So there are no prerequisite grades that students need to have achieved in any of their previous science courses. So once we see how students perform throughout the school year next year, what we are looking to do in 26-27 is offer the opportunity for AP Chemistry as an elective course. And so students will eventually have the choice to take either AP Biology as an elective or AP Chemistry as an elective. I'm going to now move on to standardized test scores. In New Jersey, students take the New Jersey Student Learning Assessment, otherwise known as NJSLA, in science in grades 5, 8, and 11. If you look at the top graph indicates the performance of the district in the 24, when students took the assessment in the spring of 2024. This is a comparison for, you see in the first set of graphs for grade 5, in the second set of graphs, grade 8, and then grade 11, and then the last set of graphs in the top right indicates science for all grades. You can see in grade 5, 66% of the students are proficient or scoring above advanced proficiency. In grade 8, it's 61%, and in grade 11, it's 67%. When you compare this to the state, you can see that what is our green is the state's red. And in grade 5, the state has 27% of students being proficient or scoring advanced proficiency. In grade 8, 19%, and in grade 11, 25%. When we take this information and we break it down even further across the last few school years, so the first set of graphs represents Millburn Township all the way on the left, and then there are 4 bars. The first bar, or the lightest green, is for the school year of 2018-2019, and then the next set is for 21-22, so taking out the COVID year, and then 22-23, and then 23-24. And so we are looking at the first cluster of graphs representing Millburn. And then if you go over to the third set of graphs, that is Essex County. And then you have DFG-J, which is our district factor group. And then you have our statewide results. So you can see that when you compare Millburn to not only the county and our district factor group and statewide, that our test scores are much, much higher than everyone else. Last year, Millburn was 11% higher than similar schools in our district factor group. And our district factor group is when you classify schools based on their socioeconomic factors. So from looking at science achievement as a whole, breaking it down by grade, you can see these same trends and patterns can be seen for each grade level. And so I want to celebrate the work of our students and our teachers and how they are doing a tremendous job on this assessment, considering that the assessment is not given every year and that in grade 5, students are being assessed on what they've learned from kindergarten all the way through 5th grade. And then in 8th grade, students are taking an assessment on what they've taken in 6th and 7th and 8th grade. And then in grade 11, you're looking at how students, at the information that students have learned over the course of their time in high school. And so as I work with the department chair at the high school, Ms. Cocchiero, we are continuing to have weekly meetings where we're looking at data and assessments. We're analyzing the assessment data and looking to refine the assessments and instructional practices. The professional development that the teachers had on February 3rd and for the remainder of the year will focus on integrating science skills in balance with science content on the assessments. In looking at continuing the courses that we currently have and keeping the multiple pathways as well as the lower prerequisite scores for prerequisite science courses, we will look at the 24-25 AP exam scores, and that will help us to continue assessing access to our AP courses. And we're going to ensure that our science pathways and math pathways align to one another. At the last board meeting, the director of math, Leanne Martin, presented on those. And so we are working together to look at how the math pathway and science pathways align to to one another. And we're going to continue to explore dual enrollment possibilities. We've already met with Syracuse University as well as NJIT to see what possible courses we can have at the high school so that students can look at getting college credit not only through taking AP courses, but also through taking courses with a partner college. Next, I'm going to share with you a little bit about our technology in grades K through 12. So our vision for K through 12 school for our schools is to focus on empowering learning through dynamic interactive tools and supporting personalized pathways, ensuring for equitable access to all students. We are aiming to enhance the professional development for educators and integrating technology with our curriculum and using data-driven decision-making to improve our instructional practices. We want to make sure that students are able to empower their learning through technology and that they all have similar experiences as they move throughout the district from our K through 4 elementary schools to Washington School and then into the middle school. So as we look at our K through 4 instruction for students, the technology facilitators have shifted their role slightly in the 24-25 school year. Technology facilitators in the past have been used to specifically meet with teachers to help to enhance the technology being integrated into our lessons. For this school year, the technology facilitators are working with each homeroom class one time per week, in addition to collaborating with teachers to integrate technology into their instruction. When we look at the curriculum that students are exploring at these levels, they include digital citizenship, STEM and engineering, which equates to different design challenges, as well as coding and robotics. We want to thank the Millburn Educational Foundation as well as our school PTOs for their generous support to our robotics and technology curriculum. In each grade level, students have the opportunity to engage with a different type of robot. In kindergarten, students are working with B-bots. That's what you see in the top left picture. In grade 1, students are working with blue bots, which look very similar to our B-bot, and I think that there's a picture in a later slide. Students also work with the Dash robot, which is what you see in the top right picture. And then in grade 3, students are working with the Dash robot as well as the We Do robot, which is in the bottom left picture. And then in grade 4, students are working with Vex Go. And one of the things that we've done over the past few years is make sure that students are having exposure to Vex in the earlier grade levels so that when students get to the high school, they have already had exposure to these types of robots. And so as a district, we are now a Vex district. In this picture, you can see students working with our B-bot, and then you have students also working with a Dash robot. And here you have students in grade 3 as well as in grade 4, and students create different coding and design challenges. In here you see that students have created an obstacle course for their robot to navigate through using coding. So students will use block coding to give the robot specific instructions as to how to navigate through the maze. In the middle picture you can see what is a Vex Go kit that students use to create the robots that they're working with. And when students get to grade 5, they experience the Builder curriculum, which continues to work on integrating digital citizenship, STEM and engineering design challenges, as well as coding and robotics. And here students are continuing the use of Vex. I'm going to take a break and let Mr. Conley jump in.
So now that our students have had all this great experience between K4 and 5, and they enter into the middle school, and we've really taken the program at the middle school to new levels, thanks in partnership to the Board of Education, the MEF, and the Millburn PTO, Millburn Middle School PTO. So we've expanded our space. We took a classroom and renovated, made a great new robotics lab. We hired a fantastic, dynamic teacher to fill that role, who has really taken our program from the Lego EB3 platform and made it in alignment with our high school program, which was the initial goal, will be on a VEX platform, and now we have that platform K through 12. So just to get a flavor of what middle school robotics looks like, we have a little video here for everybody. Mike. So as you can see, pretty sophisticated robots, much more so than what we see at the elementary school level. These bots are really designed from scratch. Students are building them. So we have a progression in the middle school through 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, where in 6th grade they experience that first level or first touch with our STEM and STEAM in the game design class, where the students begin learning how to code at a different level. That very much builds upon the experience that they can have after school in our coding club. All of those skills can then transfer to the robotics class, which is our 7th grade elective. In that class, students learn to build on the VEX platform, which really starts with prescribed builds where everyone in the class is building the same bot at the same time, but it's a very methodical process that students walk through. And then they have inter-class and inter-school, experiences where they can compete with those bots and refine their experiences. And then we have in 8th grade, we have the innovation and design class, and then we also have an after-school robotics competition team, which really mirrors what takes place at the high school at a middle school level. We are now preparing students to compete and go around the state and compete in these big tournaments. And very excited to say in our first year, which was 2 years ago, we competed very well and were very competitive, finishing second and first in many of the tournaments that we entered into. And what we're hearing, the feedback from the high school, is that our students now are coming up very prepared for the robotics experience and having a much greater skill set than they once did before. But really, as we look at this, it's really about the continuity of a program throughout our K-12, right? And we're building these skills, so our students will continue to get stronger and stronger and stronger as they start to come through the program. So Christy's going to come back up and speak a little bit about the high school program.
And so one of the things that's truly fascinating about robotics, the game itself, is that the game is always changing. So quite different than baseball and lacrosse and other sports that students are involved in. The game for robotics every year gets released, and it gives students new objectives to compete against themselves and against other school districts. It is a great example of the science and engineering process because it directs students to build new robots every year and makes them come up with new designs and engineering challenges. I'm going to show you a video, but previous to that video, I just want to talk a little bit about what you see here. So on the left-hand side, you have the high-stakes robotics robots from last year, where they were competing to not last year, from this year, where they're competing to move the discs that you see there. And then we have a code day at Washington School every year where the students who are the captains of the robotics team come to Washington School to provide a demonstration and to answer questions for students who are interested in robotics. And then this video here shows from last year the robot, and what the robot needed to do was move those tri balls that you see there, and then for added points, the robot needs to be coded to be able to hang on to the game structure. And so you can see there our robot kind of being like King Kong on the Empire State Building. All right, and with that, that concludes my presentation. So does anyone have any questions? Go ahead.
Hi, Director Young and Mr. Connolly, thank you very much. I did have a question about the robotics program. First of all, really glad we're expanding it into the elementary and middle school. At the high school, there appears to be some sort of capacity limitation. Let me describe what it is, and if you guys could, perhaps look into it. We don't need an answer right now. And it's interesting that you mentioned baseball. On a baseball roster, there are 9 starters. Everyone knows that. So you can only have 1 starting shortstop on the Millburn High School baseball team. On the robotics team, what tends to happen is there are kids who are interested because it is such a great program. They're not admitted, and then they have to go to Robot Rev and Summit to do robotics, which is quite expensive. My understanding is that the teams are pretty much student operated. So the only capacity might be supervisory time at the mill. Someone has to be there at the mill to supervise the kids while they're working on it. But if you could probably, I don't know how many teams we have, you could probably add another 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 teams to allow every high schooler who would like to participate in the fantastic robotics program to be able to do that. Right now, a lot of kids are going to Robot Rev. So if you could just look into that, that would be really helpful. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Mr. Reddy?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hendricks. I have a couple of points, one on the NJSLA scores, another one on the pathways. First, Dr. Young, Mr. Connolly, and all the science teachers in the school, great job. The standardized testing scores clearly demonstrate not only how good the school is with the peer group and the state, but we are not just a little bit better. We are just way better than the competition. What I would challenge you guys is to take it to the next level. If you US News tracks the percentage of students that are proficient in each grade in the subject area, you look at that number. We are below the magnet schools like UCVTS and high technology school and all that by like 10 points in math and English. By my reckoning, the gap in science is 20 points. If you can narrow the gap to 10 points, that would be fantastic, I think. I think it's not that that you guys are doing a fantastic job. I think there's room to grow here, is how I see it. The other point, maybe this is kind of builds into what the challenge that I'm giving you guys is the pathways, right? I understand you mentioned the need for knowledge of atomic structure and the sequence of these science courses. What I've seen, the way other schools have solved this, like Livingston, West Windsor, Bergen County Academies, Newark Academy, Pingree, all of them, what they've done is try to break that link between chemistry and physics by allowing students to choose. Typically in the 10th grade, Pingree allows it even in the 9th grade to choose between biology, chemistry, and physics. And when I mean physics, they're doing AP Physics 1, which has nothing to do with the atomic structure. And that seems to be how they've done that. But if you zoom out further, right, conceptually, what I think we should aim for all curriculum pathways is to provide as much flexibility to the students to customize their path as possible. Of course, we have to ensure that they're well prepared for college and the life beyond high school. But building that flexibility means looking at the prerequisites and discarding anything that do not make sense. No course should be like a 11th grade course or a 12th grade course at Millburn. If the students can fulfill the prerequisites and want to take it as an elective in 9th or 10th grade, we should let them make the jump. What we should do is have a robust system to catch them if they start to fail. It'll have operational challenges. One immediate challenge I see, similar to what we've discussed with the AP access, increasing the AP access is the predictability of the class sizes, right? I think it's a problem that we can, as a board, can solve together with the administration. But in a steady state, I think it'll be a more robust system where it'll respond better to changing preferences from students across the stream, not just in science, but across the subject areas. And I have a feeling that also will allow us to get to that higher level of achievement from a standardized testing as well. I'm hoping that this is something that you can look into. Obviously, it's a very different way of looking at the pathways. It'll create some level of churn in the first couple of years when you open it up, it's like opening up a dam, right? And the water level is going to adjust, and there's going to be some sloshing. As long as we have a method to do that, I feel confident that this is something that school district can achieve.
It's something that we can absolutely look into, and I agree with you in the sense that when when the system is at equilibrium and then some type of factor shifts that system, that in the beginning that the system tends to react to that, but then after a while it meets a new equilibrium. So we can definitely look into providing students with the opportunity to potentially have some selection and student choice as to the path in which they'd like to take those courses. So I'm happy to look into it.
Thank you.
Ms. Longley-Richards?
Hi, I was just, thank you very much. This is, progress. I love watching it happen and being a part of it. What I was going to say was to kind of cap on what Mr. Farashudin just said, in that we should be looking at some of those robotics opportunities more in the middle school as well, because kids are really starting to be interested, and I do know middle schoolers going to other programs as well because of lack of capacity and lack of space. So not just the high school, but I do think that in the middle school we should look at trying to have as many opportunities as we can.
Absolutely.
Any more questions? Oh, Mr. Finkelstein?
Just wanted to quick thank you to Christy and the Science Department and Mr. Connolly and Dr. Diskin for their hard work as we move through all these pathway conversations. It's nice to see the changes coming through, echo Ms. Longley-Richards, and opening the possibilities, and the conversations have been, open, hey, what can we do? And I think you're hearing some of it tonight at the board, but thank you for all the effort and work. I know you researched other schools and a lot of other things as well as part of this, so thank you for that.
I really want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to come to the podium to really walk through what we are doing in science and technology. And I really want to thank the teachers who are willing to have the conversations about shifting things so that we are looking at students' best interests. And so I appreciate all of the teachers, and I really want to celebrate the work that they're doing. And I thank them, because without them, we wouldn't be here. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Connolly, what's the upcoming next pathways? You had a slide for that in the beginning. Do you?
I don't have a slide, but our next one is going to be the ELA pathways.
At the next board meeting?
Yep, next board meeting on the 24th, I believe that is. And then we follow that up with world language, the humanities, and we'll do a little bit of our how we've been incorporating diversity, equity, inclusion into our classrooms.
Excellent. Thank you
Great.
so much for pulling these together. All right, moving on. President's report. Just three things to talk about. First of all, we had a forum last Sunday, February 2nd, over at the high school. I thought it was a great forum. I very much enjoyed it, much more than yesterday's Super Bowl event, actually, if we're comparing Sundays. I think we had about 80 people out in the audience. Some were associated with the school, so maybe 70 residents, which I think is a fantastic turnout. Lots of dialogue back and forth, able to ask lots of questions. I think a lot revolved around stuff that we are already talking about a lot, the pathways, access, what's going on in our middle schools, elementary schools. The one thing I would say, unfortunately, is the camera that recorded the event either did not function properly or did not have the right recording ability, so there is no sound in the recording. So I would say for those who missed it, go back and watch it, but unfortunately, that's not the case. I will tell you that Mr. Conley's and Dr. Diskin's comments were fantastic, because you can't prove me wrong. No, seriously, I thought it was a good conversation. The one thing we can do is post all the questions that were asked and sort of summarize our answers. And we're working on that process. I believe it will be posted this week. It was a lot of information, so kind of summarizing and getting on there will take a bit of time. The one topic that did come up several times during the forum, and transitioning to my second point, was concern around open positions in the district, particularly elementary school principals. As you know, we created one principal opening by bringing Mr. Connolly here. Another principal from Hartshorn left earlier, and then we had two more recent retirements. Certainly, the board has been concerned about this as soon as we heard about the retirements, and we've been working with the administration to talk about what can we do to enable the hiring process to ensure we get the best people in the district. I just wanted to recognize the fact that we heard your comments. We really understand how important it is to the residents, particularly at the elementary school where that kind of principal is the face of the school and there's a high level interaction with that. So we are certainly determined to get the right people in the right roles. And as I talked to Dr. Diskin and Mr. Connolly of what the board can do to actually enable the hiring process, and it goes back to a little bit what I was talking about last meeting about opportunity costs. Essentially, stay out of her hair so she can spend the time hiring people. Like, communications is one big thing I want to improve. I'd love to sit down with Dr. Diskin and spend a couple hours going through the website. I'm going to do that in May, because I'd rather have those 2 hours for her getting those job descriptions finalized, getting them posted, talking to candidates, reaching out, recruiting candidates, anything she could do to get those people in here, that's what we are enabling. So I just wanted to recognize kind of, we hear you, and it's one of our #1 priorities. Third point, I'll pull up the negotiations report into this since I do both. So thankfully and gratefully, we did agree with the Millburn Administrators Association, the MAA, that's the 36 or so administrators in the district. We finalized their contract, and they voted to approve late last week. I heard it was overwhelming, and then tonight on the agenda, we'll vote to approve, which I assume we will do. So I'll just tell you a little bit about it. There's wasn't a lot of huge changes in the MAA agreement. First off, it's a 4-year term. It actually expired back over the summer, so the term starts July 1, 2024, and goes for 4 years to June 30, 2028. Compensation is always the biggest issue in these negotiations. I think we came to a great outcome. First off, the board this year went in with a specific goal to attack it slightly differently. My understanding of a lot of past negotiations, there was one rate agreed for kind of the raise pool, and that amount was applied to everybody. That's good, that's very equitable. The challenge is certainly the individuals with higher salaries get a much bigger absolute dollar raise, and the lower salaried people get a lower raise. We wanted to change that dynamic to help retain and recruit the newer team members. So There are different percentages for what we call on-guide. That's generally the newer staff versus the off-guide, which are generally the individuals that have been here a long time. Not a huge difference, but just slightly different. So in absolute dollar terms, the more senior staff are still getting bigger raises, but we wanted to acknowledge the on-guide folks with a slightly higher percentage, and we think that will help in the recruiting process. So I think that bifurcation was an important agreement to come to with the MAA. The overall percentage, I think, was 3.26% in year one and 3.22% in each of the following years, 2 through 4. I mean, we think this is a great number. We're happy that our administrators are amongst the highest paid in the state. We think that helps us attract. So we're happy to do numbers like those. We all know the challenges. There's a budget cap of 2%, so anytime you're giving one of your largest costs more than 2%, that puts pressure on the budget. So we thought we are able to handle that pressure, and we're happy to give the biggest compensation possible that we can. Other changes to the languages, really kind of small things. There was we do some level of tuition reimbursement for our administrators. There was not a clawback provision in the agreement if they leave within a certain amount of time, so we added that in. There was some level of language changes about administrator coverage for sixth period assignments. There was also a change to the provision for work from home at the superintendent's discretion. We do a lot of construction projects over the summer. Oftentimes, we have the administrators just go to a different building, which serves no purpose. They wanted to work from home instead. It's easier for them. So we said, fine, things we can do to make the work environment much better. There was a lot of housekeeping items where this agreement referred to the MEA agreement. That's the teacher's agreement, kind of, they have this provision, so we want it too, just go look there. That's not the best practice. This agreement should stand alone, so we ported the language over and made it work for the MAA, along with updating obsolete terms and all that type of stuff. So that was a level of work. And of course, the terminal leave was part of this negotiations. It was documented separately because the term of that agreement was much shorter than this agreement, but that was negotiated along with it. I think we've spoken enough about that, so I don't need to recap the terms. In general, I was happy with the progress of the negotiations. I think the MAA was also. We did it in a fairly short time. We really started over the summer, June, July timeframe. The material discussions were to finish in December, kind of documented stuff and a few delays through January, and we got done now. So 8 months-ish. The last agreement it was probably 2 years. Granted, COVID was in there. There were some other delays, so I don't think that's a fair comparison, but I am happy with the pace of these negotiations. On the MEA side, unfortunately, our last meeting canceled because I think we had personal challenges with both of our lead negotiators on both sides. So we'll reschedule that quickly. We're still on pace. It's going well. We should finish in basically the same time they did last time. Hoping to be much quicker, but can't control everything. So I think that's all I have on that agreement. Any questions? Anything I missed from any other negotiators? Not that it's an open forum. All right, Mr. Reddy.
Mr. Harris, I want to take this opportunity to thank you as the committee chair for the negotiation. Just to set the context, Mr. Hendricks took this a rather tough job. Being a negotiation committee chair is probably the most stressful and most work of any of the committees, even though it's not every year that you have that committee. I also want to thank the MAA leadership. I don't know if some of these folks are here, Mr. Lee, Mrs. Salazar, Mrs. Miller, Mrs. Young, Mr. Wolf, Mr. Mercurio. As Mr. Hendricks said, unfortunately, the start of the negotiation was rather late last year. Understandably, the MAA leadership was unhappy. But they've been good sports and they've worked with us collaboratively and reaching this agreement. Mr. Hendricks communicated from time to time, there were significant issues that the board and the MAA deliberated on, and obviously the results of the sidebar agreement that was approved last month, and the collective bargaining agreement that's being approved, hopefully will get approved today. What hopefully is clear is the professionalism of the board. Most school districts, not just us, take more than a year. Like Mr. Hendricks alluded to, the last time we did this, it took almost 2 years. Last 3 times, every single one of the last 3 times, it took more than a year. So, and Chris got it done in 7 months. So clearly, Mr. Hendricks, the committee, the board have done an amazing job of concluding the negotiations in an efficient manner in collaboration with the MAA leadership. The board is looking to do the right thing for the school district and the employees. We are here to make a sensible deal without any drama. If you want drama, get HBO.
Thank you, Mr. Reddy. Dr. Diskin, your report?
All right, well, unfortunately, I'm beginning my report with some sad news. It is with a heavy heart that I share with you that Robert Baum passed away this weekend. Robert was a middle school French teacher and retired on July 1st, 2019. He was also the high school fencing coach through today and dedicated 22 and a half years to the Millburn community. He is survived by his wife, Margaret, and we send our condolences to her and the Baum family. In addition, I would also like to sadly report that we've also received word that Mr. Leonard Blessing, who served the Millburn Township Public Schools from 1952 to 1988 as a science teacher for 30 years at as a science department chair at Millburn High School, passed away this weekend at age 104. In 2022, in honor of Mr. Blessing's 102nd birthday, the board issued a proclamation thanking him for his 36 years of dedication to the education of the students and his continued association with the alumni of Millburn High School. We send condolences as well to his family and friends. I'd like to ask for a moment of silence for both Mr. Robert Baum and Mr. Leonard Blessing. Thank you. May they be remembered, and again, our condolences to their families and friends. On tonight's report, the fire and security drills, the dates in item H1 represent the fire and security drills for all of our buildings for the month of January. As Mr. Heinrich said, we are well underway of our principal search, so I'm going to give you a very brief update. We are I've met with school staff, and I am going to continue to meet with school staff members to get their input on the essential qualities, traits, and styles that they would like to see in their successor of a building principal. Today, I spent from 12 to about 4:30 over at Hartshorn meeting with different teachers. Tomorrow is Glenwood, and then followed by Deerfield. Mr. Connolly will also be joining me on some parent nights as well. We have the elementary schools are going to be on Tuesday, February 25th for Hartshorn, Deerfield Wednesday, February 26th, and Glenwood Thursday, February 27th, all at 7 p.m. We also are going to do a parent night. I did previously with the staff at the middle school. I spent 3 days at the middle school last week getting input from their staff members. There will be a middle school parent input session this Thursday night at 7 p.m. Our Director of Human Resources will be conducting that, as I will be unable to be there in person, but you will be in good hands with Mr. David Bailey, our Director of Human Resources. In addition, we we created a website and a web page for updates on the principal search, and there is a form on the bottom where you can link and provide us with any additional feedback should you be unable to attend any of the input sessions. We always look forward to hearing from you, phone call, an email, filling out the form. We're here to listen. So these listening sessions will be taking place, and then around about the 2-week mark of March, we will start our interview process. Next, I will talk about kindergarten registration. This is just a reminder that registration is still underway through February the 28th. Remind your friends and neighbors and those who have kindergarten-aged students to register now so that we can plan for next year. Oftentimes, even as a building principal, I'd walk down and I'd be like, "You didn't register your student yet?" And they're like, "Oh, get to it. Please get to it." Don't forget to register your kids that are already part of our district. All registrants are related, and related communications will be done online using the enrollment system provided through PowerSchool on the district student information system. And more information can be found on the kindergarten registration page on our website. And finally, congratulations to Millburn High School sophomore Rhea Singh for being elected Key Club Lieutenant Governor of Division 14, a position that oversees service projects in over 7 schools nearby, including Union High School, ECLC Chatham, Chatham High School, Madison High School, Columbia High School, and Millburn High School. That is a very nice honor for her. So, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Diskin. Moving on to the board committee reports. Student representatives report. Mr. Glatt.
Thank you. Good evening, board members, parents, and our dedicated teachers and administrators. Tonight, I have 4 things to talk about. Updates on Millburn Deli Iced Tea, the designated quiet study room, student accomplishments, and of course, Millburn's #1 priority, the sports report. Unfortunately, unlike usual, we have no liaison committee update this week, as we haven't had a liaison committee in a couple weeks, but we will one have tomorrow, so our next board meeting will have one. I'll start with the sports report. Our boys basketball team recently defeated Irvington in a 67-61 win, and win against Sparta, an impressive 81-58 win. Our girls basketball team also won both of their games with a 48-23 win against Whippany and an upset against the Lancers in a 33-28 win. They have now advanced to the Essex County semifinals. Our wrestling team celebrated their senior night on Saturday and had great victories against Hoboken and Orange to complement it. Our boys ice hockey defeated Arthur L. Johnson in a 3-2 win. This win advanced their position in the McGolan Cup. Our boys fencing team has won yet another tournament and remains the #1 team in the state. Hopefully they keep advancing and win banners that we could hang proudly in the gym. It isn't just our boys team that's doing well. Our girls team also impressively finished 4th in the tournament. Our boys swim team made it to states last week. We destroyed the Wayne Hillbillies in a 92-78 win. Our team then advanced and went against Northern Highlands. However, unfortunately, this concluded our season with a brutal loss, but we'll get them next year. To continue on the topic of accolades, we have some great student accomplishments to report on. Our art program won an impressive 169 awards in the Scholastic Art and Writing Competition. This is nearly double the amount of last year's. Hopefully, we could double again next year. Our robotics team won the Fink Award in a competition in Virginia. Hopefully our team can continue the winning streak and maybe become world champions again like they were a couple years ago. For our last accomplishment, our mock trial team made it to quarterfinals. Unfortunately, they were knocked out by Livingston in the final round. However, Mr. Grauer believes our team performed the best he's seen in his 20 years and hopes to go to semifinals next year. While we did not win against the Lancers in the mock trial team, everyone knows Dr. Myron's famous saying that Millburn Deli is the next best thing. So my recent poll found that nearly 90% of students would love to see Millburn Deli's iced tea in our cafeteria. Well, they're in luck. Soon, Elisa is going to send the official documents from Pomptonian to Millburn Deli to sign, and Andrew Morgan, the owner, said that as soon as he sees the documents come his way, he'll sign it. It seems more and more likely that one day, Millburn Deli iced tea will become the drink of the Millers. Lastly, I'd like to provide an update on the designated quiet study hall room that I suggested a few board meetings ago. I'm very happy that Dr. Myron and Dr. Keenan took action to make this room possible. Every day when I walk by and I see students utilizing this room. During midterms, we saw this room at nearly full capacity with over 20 students per day. I hope that this room can continue after I graduate and benefit our student body for years to come. May everyone have a great rest of your evening.
Any questions for Mr. Glatt? Thank you. Governance, Ms. Shivani.
The Governance Committee met on February 5th at 6 p.m. The board members present were myself, Mr. Brian Lawrence, and Mr. Vishwa Reddy. Staff present, Dr. Diskin and Mr. Dave Bailey. The committee reviewed this week's personnel report and discussed hiring approach for key personnel in the upcoming school year. And as a follow-up from the last meeting, policies are being presented tonight for second reading, as indicated in the board meeting agenda. The meeting concluded at 7 p.m. Respectfully submitted, Priya Shivani. Thank you.
Any questions for Ms. Shivani? Negotiations, we already covered. Now the actual hardest committee chairman report, program, Mr. Finkelstein.
Thank you. The program committee met on Friday, January 31st at 2 p.m. Board members present were myself, Mr. Reddy, Ms. Longley Richards, and Ms. Shivani. Staff present was Dr. Diskin and Mr. Connolly. Dr. Diskin provided an outline and plans for the recent forum where we heard about the format and some of the content that they were preparing. There was then a brief Q1, Q2 grade and midterm discussion, but the administration wanted to wait until final grades were submitted and the data was reviewed. So that'll be revisited at the next meeting. Mr. Connolly then discussed a request from a parent who wanted to pilot or beta test a program for an elementary school. Then we discussed other high school program issues, including midterms, AP credits for GPA, and freshman grades and GPA. All discussed. Those discussions are ongoing. The meeting concluded at 3 p.m. Respectfully submitted, Andrew Finkelstein.
Thank you. Any questions for program? All right, moving on to administrator reports. Mr. Conley with the Assistant Superintendent's report.
Good evening, everyone. Just a little update on our Professional Development Day that took place on February 3rd. K-12 teachers participated in professional development sessions around the district, highlighting K-4 related arts, partnered with the New Jersey Audubon Society to explore climate change, impacts on project-based strategies, and the Eco Schools USA program. Grade 5 through 8 math engaged in a virtual training with NWA MAP on assessment process and proctoring. And middle school world language teachers focused on making target language instruction meaningful and engaging. Science teachers developed a rubric for claim, evidence, and reasoning tasks. In the high school, science teachers explored assessment design, while social studies teachers reviewed the case method, PD, AI tools, and assessment practices. At Hartshorn School today, I had the opportunity to attend the character assembly. Ms. Gina Brooks recognized students with awards for their kindness within the school community. The school rallied around Rocky and sang 2 songs led by Mr. Eric Demmel, which, just as a side note, I was extremely impressed with Mr. Demmel's talent to write those songs and play and sing along. Really fantastic. The World Read Aloud Day took place. Washington Schools celebrated World Read Aloud Day on February 5th with virtual visits from 16 well-known children's authors who shared their stories with our students. Each virtual visit was approximately 30 minutes, 15 minutes of reading, 15 minutes of Q&A. Each author brought their unique skill set to meet to the meet and greet, so some sessions included illustration workshops as well. What an excellent opportunity for our students. Thank you to the teachers, Kendra Bunton, who for coordinating the event, and to Lit World for organizing this event on the first Wednesday of February for the last 15 years. Fresh Perspectives Morris Museum Art Show. Congratulations to our 5 award winners, Elijah Baldi, Julia Patty, Thomas Sosierski, 10th graders, and then 10th graders Sylvan Abbott and Jessica P. In the 11th grade, who won the jury spot in the prestigious Fresh Perspectives Morris Museum Art Show. And then finally, our Scholastic Art and Writing Awards. Millburn High School students earned 169 awards in the 2025 Region at Large East Scholastic Art and Writing Awards, the nation's largest and most prestigious program for creative teens. This marks our first year competing in this extensive region, covering Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York, DC, and South Carolina, and more, making this achievement even more remarkable. Highlights to 37 gold keys, 36 silver keys, and 53 honorable mentions across the AP, honors, and introductory art courses. For the first time in Millburn High School's history, 4 AP 2D students earned gold keys in the coveted portfolio category, qualifying for the national recognition in March. Thank you to our dedicated staff, Catherine Riley, Linda Kim, Vincent Dermondi, Keely Flack, and Christine Benson, Bose, and Jacqueline Hummer for inspiring students to showcase their creativity. Award-winning works will be featured at the Youth Art Month Show on March 5th from 5 to 8 at Millburn High School. The district's website will show the complete list of the 169 award winners. Congratulations, and respectfully submitted, John Conley.
Thank you, Mr. Connolly. Business Administrator's Report, Ms. Schneider.
The business office has been focusing on our continuing work to balance the budget. As indicated at the last board meeting, we will not know our state aid or confirm our allowable tax cap for another few weeks. But we are working based on the assumptions we presented and are getting closer to having a balanced budget. I do want to acknowledge on tonight's agenda the donation of a bench to Hartshorn School by Stacy Giddon in honor of her late mother, Terry Hofflich, who had taught at Hartshorn School from 1996 to 2012. Thank you to Ms. Giddon and to Ms. Hofflich for her 16 years in Millburn. And if anyone read ahead on the personnel report this evening is the acceptance of my retirement at the end of this school year. As many of you know, Millburn has been my home for the past 9 years, both literally for my family and for the time I have spent in the district supporting the Board of Education. In the time I have been here, we have moved public collections out of the school buildings. We have offered before and after care in each of the elementary schools. We repurchased, renovated, and reopened the Washington School. Never knew you needed legislation to do that. We established CAMP, the Capital and Maintenance Program, with the attention to the buildings through a level debt service, and established healthy capital and maintenance reserves to see that our buildings continue to be cared for in the future. We recently completed projects funded through the New Jersey Clean Energy Program, receiving the maximum grant amount of nearly $5 million, and have diligently replaced the majority of our HVAC equipment throughout the district, allowing for more efficient use of energy and for healthier and more comfortable environments for our staff and students. The budget development takes these initiatives into account and creates baselines for sustainable budgets into the future. There are so many people I need to thank and recognize, but I will hold those thoughts until my final BA report in June. But financially, I am proud of where the district currently is, and so it is time for me to plan to spend more time with my other family. But June is still a number of months away, and there is still the 25-26 budget to complete. So until then, this concludes my report.
So we'll jump to I want to thank Cheryl for all that she has done for the district. For me personally, it will be certainly a great loss. And we look forward to hearing more about your journey and your travels, but we've got work to do still. Yeah. So not quite yet. But congratulations to you for your 9 years of service.
Yes, I'd just like to say thank you for everything you've done. It's been fantastic. I'm a finance professional, and you taught me so much about how an education budget works. You were just such an asset to the school district. We certainly wouldn't be where we are without your efforts over the past number of years. Any other board members want to jump in, or? Mr. Farashudin?
Yeah, Cheryl, like Mr. Heinrichs, I also am a finance professional. I've learned so much from you, And I want to thank you and compliment you on your diligence, the care that you take with our taxpayers' money, and spending that in the service of our students. You are truly an amazing business administrator. We're going to miss you both as a professional. I will miss you as a friend, and I wish you the best of luck.
Ms. Bethina?
Yeah, just echoing everyone here. Cheryl, you've taught me so much, and thank you so much. I disagree. June is too short. I wish we could keep you longer, but I do appreciate, you want to spend time with your family. You've given us 9 devoted years. You're the go-to person for most of us. Ever since I came, there's nothing I can do without sending a little note to Cheryl. So I'm going to miss you. I know everybody else will. Thank you so much.
Ms. Shivani?
Yeah, thank you so much, Cheryl. I do wish I'm gonna just wait till June. I hope June gets delayed. So we really will miss you, and you're just a pillar of strength for the board and for the community. I just want everyone to know that you've been a huge asset to the school district, not just to the board. With your diligence, with your hard work. I don't know when you sleep, so hopefully you'll get to catch up on sleep. And thank you so much, and wish you all the best for your retirement.
Mr. Lawrence?
Thank you. Well, Cheryl, I worked with you for over 3 years now at the Finance Committee, and I really appreciate everything you've done for the district and for all the students and teachers and administrators. This is probably an understatement, but you're the best administrator of the entire state, and we're lucky to have you. God bless, and all the best to you and your family.
Cynthia? Oh, Ms. Longley Richards?
I also want to extend my thanks. How glad I am to know you. I'm constantly in awe of everything that you know and everything that you keep in your brain and that you just have at your disposal all the time. You have been such an asset. I am very sad to lose you, and I do know that a good business administrator is hard to come by, so I hope that we do, that you have a wide net of people that you can, help us to find, because I'm not sure anybody will be able to fill your shoes, really. You've been such a wonderful part of this district. I am happy, though, that I will potentially run into you at some local music events. So hopefully it will not be a final goodbye.
Mr. Reddy?
A lot of people have already spoken about how much we've learned from Cheryl. I think she's a natural teacher, but Cheryl, your relationship with all of us is special. I think each one of us have missed the calm and quiet efficiency that you showed. You're usually the last person to leave the building. Clearly, that shows in the stewardship of the school district finances and your commitment to the school district itself. I know many of us have tried to convince you otherwise, but we understand with your 2 kids settled in life, you deserve a retirement from all the long hours you spend here. We'll miss you dearly.
Mr. Farashudin mentioned, oh wait, we're going to jump in? Mr. Finkelstein. I was going in
Can't miss my
order,
opportunity.
Andrew.
Yeah, I'm gonna everyone's stealing my thunder, but coming into this role, I'm also in awe of how hard, Cheryl, you've worked here, the hours you put in, the dedication, and how many tasks you take on under your belt, and it's handled effortlessly, and we've probably all taken for granted that we know stuff in your court's going to get done and done well, but it takes a ton of effort, and we see that too. So thank you for everything you've done. It is well deserved, and we will miss you a lot.
So one thing that didn't get mentioned, in addition to watching the taxpayer dollars, Ms. Schneider has gone out and found grant money, both at the state and federal level, like any grant possible that we could get the money, she's found. My guess is tens of millions of dollars that you've gotten in, and the experience I've had with this, it is utterly painful to apply, jump through hoops, chase this down until the check comes. Lots of hours, lots of dedication. So certainly, thank you for that. All right, moving on to public comments. Usual rules, please state your name and address for the record. Public comments will be limited to 3 minutes. You can certainly come up and speak again after that 3-minute period and other people have had the chance to go. Responses to questions and comments will be posted to the district website before the next board meeting or within 10 school days. Please go ahead.
On behalf of the Muslims of Millburn and Short Hills Association, we are all here together to thank you for approving Eid as a school holiday. This decision is deeply meaningful to the hundreds and hundreds of Muslim residents who now live in Short Hills, Millburn. And by allowing our children to observe this important day without missing school, your commitment to inclusivity and cultural awareness is so appreciated. We have a lot of students up here that just want to stand up and say thanks, and we just want to really, we're so grateful for your support in fostering an inclusive and respectful learning environment. I know it wasn't easy. It took years and years of coming and asking again and again, and I think when it was just an incredible effort. Thank you so much for improving Eid on behalf of the Muslims of Millburn and Short Hills. Thank you. We have a small gift for you as well.
Also, on behalf of the Muslim student population, we really appreciate being seen and heard and have our holiday celebrated. Thank you.
Hello. Jeanette Glass, 348 Old Short Hills Road. Dear board members and administrators, we would like to offer some input to the proposed changes to Policy 5710. Changes to this policy are not state mandated, and there is no immediate rush to amend this policy without the public review and input. Having had difficulties communicating our son's well-being with the district in the past, we would like to ensure the amended policy is fair and crystal clear as to the grievance process, such that other families in the future do not encounter the same issues. We feel strongly that the sentence, students should be encouraged to respect lawful procedures for resolution, not only should not be deleted, but should also include school employees. Following regulations should be mandated for everyone. The vague second paragraph basically makes it impossible to file any complaint or grievance. Complaints are usually made because a policy, rule, or regulation was not followed, meaning it would be mentioned elsewhere in the board policy. This policy has been created exactly for the purpose of filing complaint and to provide clear guidance to be followed by students and families, school employees, and board members. We'll also oppose the added time restrictions at each level to filing of grievance by students and families. First of all, not all students will report to their families within 5 school days of them having an issue with program or conduct. This would automatically make it impossible for families to address any issue with the appropriate people at any level. Secondly, the appellants, for whatever reason, be it sick, travel, or work, may not be available to respond within 5 school days. Thirdly, what if there are no school days, such as winter, spring, and summer breaks? The prior policy had no time restrictions as to filing the initial grievance. As we agree no time restrictions may be unreasonable, we continue to argue that 5 days is inappropriate. Furthermore, we understand the board may need the extended time frame of 30 days for deliberations and final decision. However, there needs to be a short period of time required for the board to respond to the appellant with acknowledgement of receipt of grievance. Unfortunately, our student grievance has gone unresponded to for quite some time. Finally, the amended policy mentions a designee of principal and superintendent. We do not think this is necessary, since these decisions need to be made by the principal or superintendent themselves. Anyone could become a designee, and the grievance process flawed as to the chain of command and communications, particularly if the designee for principal and superintendent is the same person. If there is a designee, such should only be allowed in case when the principal or superintendent are unavailable to make the decision. And the designee should be the next person in chain of command, such as vice principal or acting superintendent, respectively. The designee needs to be clearly specified in the policy, such that there is no confusion as to who can make these important decisions. We hope we can collaborate and work together to create a policy that would best suit students' ability to advocate for themselves and address any issues that may arise involving school matters. The whole purpose of this policy is for students to be able to present a grievance and to appeal decisions according to order of channels of communications. Creating a policy which makes it difficult to appeal unfairness solely defeats its purpose. I hope you guys can review, and before you approve the final policy, you can make the policy such that students can advocate for themselves in the best way. Thank you.
Dennis Lamb, 348 Old Short Hills Road. I'm the father of 3 children, all at Millburn Middle School. Today I'm here on behalf of my son Dexter. I'm extremely confused as to why the district is forcing my son to participate in PE, despite the fact that he trains 24 hours a week in elite sports. In doing so, the district puts Dexter at risk for overuse injuries, as well as physical, mental, and emotional stress and burnout. This decision goes against several doctor recommendations and also goes against our very own board policy 2425.1, which states all elite level student athletes who train in excess of 18 hours a week will be excused from PE and placed in study hall. Allow me to briefly revisit some relevant state laws and board policies. In 1967, NJSA Title 18 required all students from grade 1 to 12 to participate in 150 minutes of PE in school each week. Yet this board instituted their own policy 5460, where high school students can be excused from PE. 5460 PEO, for example, excuses Millburn varsity athletes from PE. Policy 5460 has been used and is still being used to this very day routinely by this school district without issue. In 1998, the board ratified policy 2425.1 with no age or grade restrictions in order to protect the well-being of any elite level student athlete, not just high school students. Under this policy, only those training at least 18 hours a week can be excused from PE. Very few students would ever meet this criteria, yet my son Dexter does. He is a nationally ranked gymnast who trains at an elite level outside of school for 24 hours each week all year long. In 2011, this very policy was revisited by the board and readopted as is. I'm confused and upset. We have never been allowed fair communication regarding our son's overall well-being at school. The school district has refused to apply this long-standing policy to my son, who clearly qualifies. And by these actions, the middle school, the district, and the Board of Education seem to show that they do not care about the students' needs. We've been told by the district that enforcing policy 2425.1 would violate state law. Now I ask the board, if this is the case, then wouldn't policy 5460 also violate state law? And if not, why deny protection to a child and a very special member of the Millburn community, especially when there is a well-established solution to this specific situation? For the record, prior students of Millburn Middle School, including swimmers, gymnasts, and dancers, have all been excused from PE on these grounds. Furthermore, other middle schools in New Jersey are currently exempting student athletes from PE on this very basis. Please allow us to sit down together. Please give us a chance to work together and help my son Dexter manage his unique situation. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tommy Ganella, and I live at 15 Sherlawn Drive with my wife and 4 young kids. I actually grew up in Short Hills with my 4 siblings, at 2 Bishops Lane, where my parents still live today. I'm here to speak on behalf of Dexter Lamb. I got to know Dexter, his sisters, and parents from the Millburn Town Pool Summer Swim Team over the past few summers, where my daughter Lana and son Tommy swam with Dexter and his sisters. Dexter's family they're fantastic people, great members of the community. Dexter in particular is a great, very impressive kid. He's a superb gymnast on the USA national team and ranked in the top 10 in the entire USA for his age. When I was young, I was a serious competitive swimmer, along with my fellow swimmers from our club team, Berkeley Aquatic Club. I was exempted from gym class in middle and high school since I swam 18 hours a week. I sincerely thank the township and the school district for that support that I was given almost 30 years ago. It's enabled me to get my homework done, still swim around 3 hours a day, 6 days a week, and get to sleep at a reasonable time, which helped me avoid burnout and keep my mental health. I feel that support helped enable me and my teammates to continue swimming at a high level throughout high school. I ended up swimming all the way through college, becoming captain of my college swim team as a senior, and even met my wife on the college swim team. So swimming's been a huge part of my life and is still a big passion of mine. I would like to request that Dexter is afforded the same treatment that I was afforded when I was at the Millburn middle and high schools. There's just not enough time in the day to practice gymnastics for 4 hours a day, and then try to manage the workload of the Millburn school system while maintaining adequate sleep and good mental health. Dexter, as a top 10 nationally ranked gymnast, is an inspiration to the kids in the district, and adults for that matter. I think we want to encourage our students to shoot for the stars in whatever it is they're passionate about. I know as a father of 4, I try to encourage my kids to dream big and shoot for the stars. I coached a lot of the rec sports in town, soccer, baseball, basketball, even probably a couple other forgetting now, but and I tell the kids that I'm coaching, dream big, have confidence in yourself. I think that's a prerequisite for success. Well, Dexter does dream big. Dexter has put in the work. He's been shooting for the stars, and he's top 10 in the entire country. So it's someone that he's someone that the community should be proud of. Someday, Dexter or an athlete like him will go to the Olympics representing Millburn High School. And I think our community will feel a lot better about it if we encourage them and lift them up along the way, rather than putting up unnecessary obstacles for them to jump over. So on that note, I'd highly encourage Dexter to be granted an exemption from gym class so that he can use it as a study hall, help manage his workload, and continue to be an inspiration to the township. If you have any questions for me on the matter, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you.
Good evening, board members. Thank you all for your service, and thank you for sharing the floor with me. Also, thanks for the president sharing the information about the negotiation. It's very important. The negotiation process initially centered around the payment for unpaid sick days. It's also confirmed during the February 2nd meeting that it's not the newly raised issue. It's been talked about during the previous year's negotiations, but the negotiation never resulted in early retirement for any of the principals. So there's a lot of questions from the community why this is happening this year. And so I also had a look at the agenda from the summary on the February 2nd meeting, because the video was missing, unfortunately, so we had to rely on the words. Again, I'd like to have it on the record that my question was comparison of the cost of the early retirement plan versus the unpaid sick days. Also, I'd like to I'd like the board member to pay attention beyond the financial implications. The district must also consider the broader impact of the leadership turnover. The loss of experienced principals can lead to diminished team performance, lower employee morale, lack of strategic direction, weakened communication, increased conflict, and even counterproductive micromanagement. So how does the district plan to mitigate these risks? Also, it's very nice to hear that the district is making every effort to listen to the parents' input regarding the replacement of the new principals. But a lot of parents also wondering whether you consider rehiring. What's your stance regarding this matter? Also, furthermore, public participation is a cornerstone of democracy. Yet many families in our district are first-generation immigrants. We struggle to attend these meetings due to work commitments. It is deeply concerning that due to technical issue, the video of the last meeting was lost. We strongly urge the district to address this issue immediately and to review and respond to all the questions submitted via Google form before the forum. Thank you. And regarding the STEM pathways, I think it really provides a valuable opportunity for the group of students, but we need to carefully plan and continuously evaluate for its effectiveness. Thank you, that's all, thanks.
Ma'am, can you state your name and address for the
Sure,
record?
Jane Shan, number 8 Meadowbrook Road. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jeffrey Feld. I live in Alexander Lane, Short Hills, New Jersey. I am also the pro bono counsel for these family. I appeared in the case in early January. And first point I want to do is I had to give a great shout out to our BA, your BA, Cheryl Schneider. I can't tell you how helpful she is. She listens to citizens, and she has made changes. If you look at your agenda, it used to be citizens' comments came after the presentation by her. Unfortunately, Ms. Schneider and the board, there's an issue regarding long-term tax exemptions you have to consider. On Thursday, RPM filed a request for the court to approve and authorize a long-term tax exemption, a non-urban renewal NHAF long-term tax exemption without any public notice or input by the public. Today was a pretty heated day between letters between me and the township. I'm raising a constitutional issue. I think the board might just want to write a letter saying that, you know, we will be impacted and we should be part of the discussion as to the terms of this. I urge you to do this in the next day or two or consider it. It's very important. As to the agenda, it's very important about the grievance policy because the administrative judge who's handling the case, we've made a representation. If you do adopt the policy with some explained days, we will be going through that process up the ladder. The law judge is so happy that this is happening. And it's hard for me to express the comments that she's been making, the judge, as to the best interest of the student. And I think you need to look into the time and the advice that you received by your new attorneys in this matter. As to the agenda, I thank you for giving the presentation as to the terms of the MAA contract, but will that contract be posted on the public website so the public can see it? It was very important. I attended the public forum last Sunday. The issues about communications, but there was something that came out that there seems to be a change of the purpose of the high school. And you had to listen very carefully. The purpose when my children went to school was go through high school to train you to go to college. It seems in the last year, for many of you, the purpose of going to high school, other than getting AP, is to start taking college courses in high school. That's a major change in policy. And I don't think a lot of the community is understanding that nuance. In addition, when we talk, I am all for the different pathways, but we haven't heard yet from any child psychologist as to the impact on students. In summary, I would just ask you to look at last Saturday's Wall Street Journal. They had a full-page article it's called The Learning Pit. That part of education is that failure is partly as part of the success. At the beginning of this semester, you learn from your mistakes and you learn how to learn. And I don't know if that's been part of the process of the gateways, how to get in. It was like, how do you get the students here? But it's also, you use the word peers. What are our peer communities? And I think others, I like to know who you're comparing yourselves to so I can know what to do. But again, to focus on the best interests of students, whether it's this child or all the children in the system. Thank you. And again, a shout out to Ms. Schneider.
Thank you, Mr. Feld. All right, I don't think there are any more public comments. There's no discussion items on the agenda tonight, so we'll move on to the board action items. Item 1, instructional agenda items. Any carve-outs? Can I have a motion to move instruction agenda items M1A and B in consent agenda format? Mr. Farashudin, Ms. Bethina can second. All in favor? Can I have a motion to approve instructional agenda items M1A and B in consent agenda format? Mr. Lawrence, Ms. Shivani can second. A, resolved to review the superintendent's recommendation of the HIB investigations for the period of 1/16/25 through 2/14/25. B, resolved to approve professional development request. Any comments? Roll call, please.
Ms. Bethina?
Aye.
Mr. Bigman?
Yes.
Mr. Farashudin?
Yes.
Mr. Finkelstein?
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence?
Yes.
Ms. Longley Richards?
Yes.
Mr. Reddy?
I'm Etty.
Ms. Shivani?
Yes.
Mr. Heinrichs?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 2, personal agenda items. Can I have a motion to approve the personnel report dated February 10th, 2025? Mr. Reddy, Ms. Long Richards can second. Any comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Bigman?
Yes.
Mr. Farashudin?
Yes.
Mr. Finkelstein?
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence?
Yes.
Ms. Longley Richards?
Yes.
Mr. Reddy?
Yes.
Ms. Bethina?
Yes.
Ms. Shivani?
Yes.
Mr. Heinrichs?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item 3, business agenda items. Any carve-outs? Can I have a motion to move business agenda items M3A and B in consent agenda format? Mr. Bigman, Ms. Longley Richards can second. All in favor? Can I have a motion to approve business agenda items M3A and B in consent agenda format? Mr. Reddy, Ms. Bethina can second. A, resolved to ratify the agreement between the Millburn Administrators Association, MAA, and the Millburn Board of Education for the period of 7/1/24 through 6/30/28. B, resolved to accept a donation to Hartshorn Elementary School from Stacy Gittin in honor of her late mother, Terry Hofflich, who was a teacher at Hartshorn School. The donation is for a bench valued at $1,079.23. Any comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Farashudin?
Yes.
Mr. Finkelstein?
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence?
Yes.
Ms. Longley Richards?
Yes.
Mr. Reddy?
Yes.
Ms. Bethina?
Yes.
Mr. Bigman?
Yes.
Ms. Shivani?
Yes.
Mr. Heinrichs?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item 2, policy agenda items. Any carve-outs? Ms. Shivani?
Yeah, I think I'd like to carve out item M, 5710, student grievance. I think we can take another look at it.
All right. Can I have a motion to move policy agenda items M, or do we have to vote on the carve? No, she can carve it out, right?
She could just
Yeah.
ask. Now, you'll have to
Yeah, I'll do it without that
see if anybody
one.
moves it separately.
Can I have a motion to move policy agenda items M4A through L and N through O in consent agenda format? Mr. Lawrence, Mr. Bigman can second.
All in favor?
All in favor? All right, second reading approval of policies dash regulations as listed below, except for policy M 5710 student grievance, which is being carved out and handled separately. Any comments?
So that was a motion to move the rest in
We're-
consent agenda.
yeah,
Now
we're
you need
moving the
someone to
rest.
actually move them now.
Oh, I thought we did that. Sorry, thank you. This, Cheryl keeps us out of trouble, in addition to all the finance stuff. Can I have a motion to approve policy agenda items M4A through L and N through O in second reading in consent agenda format? Ms. Longer-Richards? Ms. Bethina can second? I'll do it again. Second reading approval of policies, regulations as listed below, except for item M, policy 5710, student grievances. Now we can go to roll call. All right.
So are there any comments on those?
Comment on those, Mr. Reddy?
Actually, comment on 5710. What would be helpful?
We'll get to that next. Let's get
Vote on
everything else
these
off
and
the
then
table.
we could- Okay, roll call then. So this is on A through L and N through O. Mr. Finkelstein?
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence?
Yes.
Ms. Longley Richards?
Yes.
Mr. Reddy?
Yes.
Ms. Bethina?
Yes.
Mr. Bigman?
Yes.
Mr. Farashudin?
Yes.
Ms. Shivani?
Yes.
Mr. Heinrichs?
Yes.
Motion passes. So now you can see if anybody wishes to move item M or not.
Can we just have comments about it first, if no one wants to move?
You should see if somebody wants to move it, and if it's seconded, then you would discuss it.
Discuss it. If it doesn't move, then
If
it's,
nobody moves, then you can.
it's not approved, yeah.
Right.
Very
And
good.
you could discuss it in board comments.
All right, 5710 is still on the table. Is there, can I have a motion to move this policy item? I see no motion, so we're not even going to discuss it at this point. It'll go back to committee, and we can deal with it there. No, I'm sorry, we have, wait till the next public comments, Mr. Feld.
So you do have old business now, and that would be an opportunity that somebody could discuss this as old business on the table.
Moving on to old business. Any old business we'd like to discuss? Mr. Reddy?
What would be helpful for the audience member to outline what the objectionable parts of the policy are? Just for context, I'm looking at the marked-up document, and there are a bunch of paragraphs that are deleted. I'm not finding some of the more objectionable stuff. So it'll be helpful if maybe the audience member, Ms. Klaus, can send an email to the board outlining what those objections are.
I did last week. I sent it to number of Board of Education members and administrators, so I already submitted.
Yeah, so each of you should have received the end of last week. We forwarded her letter that went to the board, so you all should have that information. It does outline the concerns.
Thank you.
Any other discussion of old business? All right, moving on. Any new business? None? Second round of public comments. Same rules apply. Please state your name and address for the record. Please keep comments to 3 minutes.
Jeffrey Feld. First of all, my kids had Mrs. Hofflick, and I think my daughter, camp counselor, was the person who made the donation. But as to the policy about the grievance, I had to report back to the administrative judge. Now, I'm just going to say it's been stayed, but the real concern we have is the time frames, like the grievance process, when you file it, when you respond to it. Because part of it, I think the problem is not just from this family, but from past comments, when parents have made comments here, which is like a grievance, no one responds to them. And that was been in comments by various other parents, and I think that's one of the things we want to tighten up, because there's different levels. Level 1, you go to the teacher, it goes up there, when do you get a response? Just to clear it up, because that was one of the concerns. The real concern driving point is here, the administrative judge, law judge, wants this out of her courtroom as quickly as possible. And I had to report back that you stayed consideration, and hopefully he'll come back in 2 weeks. I just want everyone to understand where I stand as an officer of the court procedurally. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Feld. Any other public comments? Next item, board member comments. Any general comments? Nope. All right, can I have a motion to adjourn to executive session to discuss both negotiations and personnel? Mr. Lawrence, Ms. Shivani can second.
Would you want, before you second that, would you want to add perhaps student matter to the topics also?
Very good idea, Ms. Schneider. Please add student matters, confidential student matters, to our executive session. So I need to, let's re-get approval and re-second that. Mr. Lawrence, approve. Ms. Shivani, second. The discussion topics will be disclosed to the public at the next meeting of the board or as soon thereafter as circumstances and nature of the subject permits. All in favor? We are in executive session.